Voja, Jaws of the Conclave is 1 white, 1 green, 1 red, and 2 other for a 5/5 wolf. Voja has Vigilance, Trample, and a Ward of 3. It says whenever Voja attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. Draw a card for each wolf you control. Voja seems like a very strong Naya commander with a few different ways that it can be built, and that's good because it supports my theory that there are at least 3 ways to build most EDH decks. EDH is what us boomers call commander. Aspect of the wolf, strong. Aspect of the elf, fun.
Blood has been spilled this night.
Aspect of Rick Astley, meme. Let's look at the strong, fun, and meme ways that I would build Voja, Jaws of the Conclave.
Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat.
Big shout out to our sponsors that allow Jake and I to work on the channel full time. Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards on the internet. TCG Player, the best place to buy them. Dragon Shield, the best way to protect your cards. And Moxfield, the best way to list them on the internet. Check the description for links to all of them. One of my goals this year is to have one of these types of deck techs every single Saturday. So if there's a commander that you think you want to see, let me know down in the comments. And if you really want to get a video on the channel, go join our Patreon. That is where I go. That's where Jake goes to get a lot of help with our videos, and you'll probably pop up in a video sooner or later. 2 build strategies immediately jump out to me with Voja: wolves and elves. That's pretty obvious, but I think that we could also build a fun deck wherein every single piece of art has someone with their mouth open. Starting with the strong way to build this, I want to go with elves. Every single time Voja's attacking, we're getting +1/+1 counters on every single creature we control for the amount of elves that we have on the board, so we want to fill up our board with elves. In particular, we want to find cards that create a lot of elves, preferably repeatably, and so we're going to start with Imperious Perfect. 3 mana for a 2/2 elf warrior. Says other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. Great, we'll take it. But for 1 green mana and tap, we create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token so that we can continue to build that line so that we're hitting for a ton of counters with Voja. Lissalana, Huntmaster, 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. This is doubling everything. This is fantastic. But we've all seen these kind of cards before. You may not have seen this one before. This is from Kaldheim. Wolverine Riders, 6 mana 4/4 elf warrior. At the beginning of each upkeep, that's yours and each opponent's, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. We don't care so much about that second part, but that first part is excelente and exactly where we want to be living. We got a lot of fantastic elf cards in the Lord of the Rings set. Windswift Slice for 3 mana is an instant speed that says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. That's great because if we've got Voja and Voja is growing with our elf army, then we're going to have a lot of power to deal to an opponent's creature. Then you create a number of 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens equal to the amount of excess damage. And like I said, Voja is going to be growing so fast. That's what we want to do. Make a big wolf. And Windswift Slice is going to let us get that excess damage to work, creating more elves. Elvish Warmaster, 2 mana 2/2 elf warrior. Whenever 1 or more other elves enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Triggers only once per turn, but for a 7 mana activation, you can give everything +2/+2, and more importantly, Death Touch, so that we could have another way of winning if we're not just winning with Voja getting some insane triggered abilities rocking. Branching Evolution, 3 mana enchantment. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. Holy crap, we are already building a deck that is going to flood the board with elves, and we're going to then flood our creatures with counters. But here, casually, we'll just double everything for a 3 mana enchantment. Yeah, that's probably something we should run. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but Shalayan Halar has got elf in the creature type, which is ridiculous. Naya +1 for a 3/3 flying Vigi. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, we put them on each creature we control with Voja's ability. Absolutely ridiculous. Shalayan Halar deals that much damage to target opponent. Elves and wolves and +1/+1 counters, baby. And if we're building +1/+1 counters and we've got access to red, all will be one. Whenever you put one or more counters on a permanent or player, it deals that much damage to target opponent, creature, or planeswalker. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's where we want to be. And if elves is the strong way to build this, wolves is the fun way to build this. Drawing cards is fun, and it's going to keep us in the game, playing more good boys, playing more elves. That's where we want to be. Master of the Wild Hunt, 4 mana, 3/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. You can tap it and tap all untapped wolf creatures you control. Each wolf tapped this way deals damage equal to its power to target creature, which is great if we're flooding with wolves and we have Voja. Love that. That creature deals damage equal to its power divided as its controller chooses among any number of those wolves. This is really only problematic if we are trying to kill a death touch creature, in which case we're going to have some wolves die. But, you know, so it goes. Sword of Body and Mind, 3 mana wolf making sword, baby. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and blue. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage, create a wolf. That player mills 10. We want to be creating wolves. We can just equip this to any of our tokens that we're creating, create more wolves, draw more cards off of Voja. Howling Moon is going to make sure that we've always got wolves. 3 mana enchantment at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target wolf or werewolf you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, we'll take it. Not bad. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, that happens quite often in Commander. Create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Enchantments that create the creature type we want on the board. Yeah, we're going to run this. Wolf Howler's Call is an enchantment that I had never seen before I started researching wolf decks. At the beginning of your upkeep, create X 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, where X is the number of opponents with 4 or more cards in hand. Sounds like we're going to get a couple of wolves every now and then. We're going to be dropping some wolves onto the battlefield for Ricky, who's constantly drawing cards, and that's going to make sure that we've always got good boy and girls to play alongside our elves and to make sure that we're drawing cards and those wolves are growing. Here's a wolf warrior that creates wolves. Silver Fur Partisan, 3 mana, 2/2 trampler. Whenever a wolf or werewolf you control becomes the target of an instant or sorcery spell, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield. Just a little redundancy, just a little, insurance policy. If our wolves are getting targeted down, if Voja gets targeted down, if Silver Fur Partisan gets targeted down, as it probably should be so that they don't get this effect repeated on them over and over again, it just turns into another wolf and we get to keep wolves on the battlefield. Now look, if we're running Voja, Voja's friend is Tolsimir Wolfblood. This is the elf friend of our wolf commander. So let's run Tolsimir. Wolfblood, 6 mana, 3/4. Other green creatures you control get +1. Other white creatures you control get +1. That counts twice for green and white creatures. And you can tap it to create Voja the Wolf token. Hooray! But this isn't the only version of Tolsimir. We've got Tolsimir Friend to Wolves, a white 2 green and 2 for a 3/3 elf scout. When Tolsimir Friend to Wolves enters the battlefield, you create Voja Friend to Elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. And whenever a wolf enters the battlefield under your control, we like this, you gain 3 life and that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Beautiful. If we're recasting Voja after Tolsimir Friend to Wolves is on the battlefield, we get a little residual value. Love that. Plus, we're creating more copies of Voja on the battlefield, which is weird and existential for Voja, but is great for us. Tolsimir Midnight's Light is a newer version of Tolsimir. 2 white, 1 green, 2 other, 3/2 elf scout. Lifelink this time. It says whenever Tolsimir Midnight's Light enters the battlefield, you create Voja Fenstalker, a legendary 5/5 green and white wolf creature token with trample. And whenever a wolf you control attacks, if Tolsimir also attacked this combat, target creature an opponent controls blocks that wolf this combat if able. So it's a little, you have to block that thing. And that's more often than not going to work out in our favor because we can send it against some little utility thing that's going to hurt when our opponents lose it, but it's not going to kill our wolf. I don't think there's a mean way to build our little good boy Voja, so we're going meme. Impervious Great Worm, look at that mouth. Our commander is bearing all the fangs he's got, so we gotta get some more mouths in here. This mouth is particularly kind of gross. I don't know that I would want to be near this. I bet the breath is awful, and that tongue is freaky. Nevin Earl's Disc, a little mouth of a board wipe. Pull the whole world into a mouth inside a disc. That sounds awful and fantastic. Look, it's another card with a mouth on it. Your friends are gonna just be so impressed by how many mouths are in your deck. Look at this. Look here, we're inside the mouth. Now we're getting incepted. Hunt the weak 4 mana sorcery. put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then that creature fights target creature you don't control. This is actually usable in our deck. What are you telling me? Can we find usable cards that also fit our meme? Yeah, sure, it isn't not the best card that's ever been printed in Magic the Gathering, but we're inside a mouth, and there's a mouth in the deck. There's a mouth, oh God, all over the Pain Kami. This is a weird one. I don't know that it's particularly good in the deck, but man, there's a lot of mouths in here. We can get with it, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to get with it as much as we possibly can. Pain Kami, 3 mana, 2/2. Pay a red and X, sack it. Pain Kami deals X to target creature. Okay, it's a weird creature-based removal, but it's got a lot of mouths. You know what? Let's find useful cards only then. We have found some mouths that aren't quite useful, but look at this. That's an open mouth right there. And if one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1 are put on it instead, that works with our deck. Are you telling me we can build a synergistic meme deck? There's no way it can't be done. I'm telling you. That's one good open mouth, though, on a card that is relevant to our deck. Oh, that's a lot of mouths. There's a mouth right in the middle and on the arms. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. What? Wait, we're creating elf tokens. We're creating wolf tokens. This card has mouths and is good. Look at this version of Elvish Champion. You got to get the 7th edition one. But this version of Elvish Champion is ready to go to mouth war with Voja. With it. Getting super as much as they can. Elvish Champion, all elves get +1/+1 and have Forest Walk. You know Ricky's playing forests. They always do. Our elves now cannot be blocked. And we're going to kill them. With open mouths. With mouths wide open. I just thought of that. And I felt the urge to do it. And I don't know if you saw, but Tolsimir, friend to elves, hello, 2 open mouths, and one of the open mouths is Voja again. We have come full circle on the Inception meme. Now you may have an idea of how you want to build this deck, but let me give you an idea of how you could pimp it out. There's no special version of Voja, unfortunately, for me to recommend or tell you is my favorite. There is just Voja, but the Dragon Shields that I would use for this one are the Tangerine Mats. These have this orangish flavor to them, if you can see it right there. Kind of this red orange, if you remember that crayon from being a kid. I think that these would look fantastic for Voja. You know, a lot of times I wanted to go green because of the elves, but the red and the orange on this card I think would just pop with these sleeves. If you want to buy these for this deck or any Dragon Shields online, use our code when you check out and you can get 5% off your order. Got a little weird there at the end, but that's the strong, fun, and meme way that I would build Voja. Let me know down in the comments how you're building this deck, and check that pinned comment if you want to go pick up all or any of these cards. Go to TCG Player, and if you order there, use our link before you check out. Helps the channel at no extra cost to you. Subscribe if you think you got any value from the video. I'll see you in the next one.